Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, I want to have a heart-to-heart conversation about the defense, the goaltending, and this year's upcoming trade deadline in regards to the Maple Leafs. Because when Jake Muzzin first suffered that concussion about a month or so ago, the second one, a lot of people had the idea that he would be placed onto LTIR and he would stay there for the remainder of the regular season, and the Maple Leafs would be able to go out at the trade deadline and exceed the salary cap by his cap hit and make the necessary improvements that they would need to in order to improve this team. And the other day, Jake Muzzin participated in a 40-minute conditioning skate that David Alter described as getting worked hard by the skills coach. And then afterwards, Sheldon Keefe came out and said, I don't think the nature of his injury is something you can put a timeline on, which is fair. It's a concussion. It's really just on how he feels. The fact that he continues to skate and work out every day, we're very encouraged by. But in terms of timeline, that will be up to him and the medical team. I just need everyone to understand that I have no idea what their plans are anymore. Because at first, it looked like they were comfortable burning through their cap space. And that would indicate that because they're comfortable burning through their cap space, that they worked so diligently to accrue and accumulate over the last couple of months, that would indicate that Muzzin is going to stay on LTIR. Because if he comes off of it before the end of the regular season, they don't have any money to do anything at this year's trade deadline. I mean, they could move players off of the roster, but unless it's a Kerfoot or a Mrazek, what are you doing? Who are you adding of any sort of consequence? I mean, you can get salary retained, but I don't think other teams are lining up to retain salary on guys that have contracts that are longer than just this season. So then you're spending more assets on rental players? That shouldn't be the plan. The Maple Leafs have come out and said that they want him back before the end of the regular season. And I mean, if you watch them defensively over the last little while, yeah, I can understand why they would say something like that. I mean, Jake Muzzin at this point in his career, maybe he's not able to carry a shutdown pair playing next to Justin Hall, but he's not completely washed. The decline is from being one of the better two-way defensemen in the NHL to just needing some help. Their words are saying that they want him back, but their actions are saying that he's going to remain on LTIR for the remainder of the season. But if he comes off of LTIR, I want everyone to understand that this is a massive failure by management. They didn't need to have Kyle Clifford on the roster eating through this cap space over the last little while. He hasn't played. Maybe we're all just overreacting to a conditioning skate, and he will remain on LTIR for the remainder of the season. But then, why is Kyle Dubas in a press conference at Tim Hortons Field to promote the Heritage Classic, answering questions about what they may do at the trade deadline and saying that they may only be able to make one more move? 5.6 whatever million dollars it is that Muzzin makes against the cap, and the potential for salary retention should go a lot further than just one more move. I don't know. Like I said, maybe we all just need to relax a little bit, and it's just part of the smoke and mirrors and the charade that they're playing along with, because obviously they can't come out and say, yeah, Muzzin's staying on LTIR for the remainder of the season no matter what. They would get in trouble if they did that. Of the guys that Frank Saravalli named in his most recent article, these are the guys worth talking about. But at the same time, I can tell you, the Vancouver Canucks and the Dallas Stars are very much in the hunt for the playoffs. They are not trading one of their two goalies here, so I don't even know how much of a realistic option those guys were to begin with. It's very slim pickings, and the Maple Leafs aren't the only team that are potentially looking at acquiring a goalie. The thing about Marc-Andre Fleury is that he makes $7 million against the cap. So even if Muzzin were to stay on LTIR, you would need to get the Blackhawks to retain 50% and probably even involve another team that retains 50%. And that would be expensive. You'd be adding assets into this deal to get salary retention. Or you would need to get the Blackhawks to retain 50% and then for them to take Peter Mrazek. But at that point, you're looking at a first-round pick and a really good prospect going the other way. And I like the cap relief, but I don't like the fact that you're spending a first and a good prospect on Marc-Andre Fleury, who's 38 years old, not having an amazing season, and also probably more than likely going to retire at the end of this year or not re-sign with the Maple Leafs. I guess if you were looking at both acquiring a defenseman and a goalie and you wanted to be really aggressive about things, you could just place Peter Mrazek on waivers, and if someone claims him, he's gone, right? You're acquiring another goalie, so in this scenario, you'd have Campbell and the other goalie that you'd be acquiring. So it's not like you'd be losing out on any goaltending depth. And if he clears, you got an extra $1 million or so in space to work with. Like I said, that would be very aggressive. Ideally, Peter Mrazek is just part of the solution, because if he cleared waivers and went to the American Hockey League, you've completely screwed yourself, because you're not going to be able to trade this guy without giving up a king's ransom. Maybe you could buy him out or pay someone else to buy him out, but that would still be expensive. Um, you can't sewer his value even more than what it already is. You need to give him an opportunity to at least play himself back up to respectability, I think. In my mind, Anton Forsberg is the clear number one option if you are trading for a goalie. And I know that Bruce Garriock of the Ottawa Sun, I believe that's how you say his last name, said that he doesn't think that Forsberg moving at the deadline is likely. But Darren Dreger also said today that not very many teams are calling on him, and the asking price may not be that high. Uh, Obviously, it's something in between those two things. Because right now, the Ottawa Senators have Philip Gustafsson, who's 23 years old and signed for next season, and they also have Matt Murray, who's signed for another 2 seasons after this one. Um, they're more than likely not going to re-sign Anton Forsberg. But then again, Matt Murray spent some time in the American Hockey League this year. He's also injured right now. But it's not like the Senators are anywhere close to the playoff picture. And if they really want a goalie, you can have Peter Mrazek. He's the number one option to me because he's having a really good season on an Ottawa team that is not known for being good defensively. And he also only makes $900K against the cap. So you wouldn't be spending any sort of assets to get salary retention in this deal. And who knows, because it's only $900K, you could still have room to go out and add a defenseman as well, even if Muzzin comes off of LTIR before the end of the regular season. But at the same time, because Forsberg is only 29 and is a UFA at the end of this season, if you acquired him, there's potential to re-sign him. So if you gave up a second or a third or a prospect or whatever like that, you're not just wasting assets on someone who's going to walk out the door. No, you could re-sign him if he plays well. So those are your options. Forsberg, James Reimer's there too. Campbell just plays better. Mrazek just plays better. If you want to throw Shalgren in there as well, go ahead. But it's a nuanced conversation, and I understand that. Just like the goaltending needs to be better, so does the defense as well. But I'll preface that in saying that there's no amount of defensive help that Peter Mrazek could have got the other night that would have changed the outcome in that game. It was legitimately, if not one of the worst professional hockey game he's ever played in his life. Even if the Leafs do acquire a goalie, I still think the net belongs to Jack Campbell. You give him the opportunity to get it back at the very least. Because like I keep bringing up in these videos, from March of last year through December of this year, he played in 44 out of a possible 55 games and had a .932 save percentage, and he was good in that series against the Montreal Canadiens, except for Game 7 when he led in that one stinker, but the team in front of him played like garbage anyway. The other goalie that they would acquire, hopefully they have good numbers, would just be a safety net, a plan B, to just have. A couple of weeks ago in a video, I said that the Maple Leafs really need to give an opportunity to their younger players, especially on the blue line, and see what they have in them as we get closer to the trade deadline. And when TJ Brodie has been away from Morgan Riley, it's been Timothy Liljegren playing there. And I'm going to be honest with you, he's made some real boneheaded plays, and he's taken some real stupid penalties, and he's frustrated me to no end at times. But the numbers really are quite positive, and those are the growing pains that you go through when you're trying to develop a young player. The numbers really are quite encouraging, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that I'm full steam ahead on the train saying that Morgan Riley and Timothy Liljegren should be a full-time thing for the Maple Leafs heading into this year's playoffs. I'm going to need to see more, and I'm going to need to see it against good teams. This may not be a thing for right now, but it is very, very encouraging for the future. Even a guy like Justin Hall has played pretty well over the last little while, paired primarily next to a guy like TJ Brody. I don't know if that's a compliment to TJ Brody or if we're just experiencing good Justin Hall right now, because he is a player who he has his highs and then, oh boy, he really does have his lows. And he cross-checked a guy in front of the Maple Leafs net the other night so hard that I think he separated his shoulder. Christian Fischer was very, very slow to get off the ice, and damn it, Justin, that should be the price that everyone pays for jostling for position in front of your net. You're 6'4" and like 190 pounds, and we've been asking you to be meaner for the last number of years. And I know he's done other things good the last little while, but that's the thing that stuck out to me. You know, and if that's going to be a sign of things to come, I'm excited. Even a guy like Lyubushkin, since being acquired by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the middle of February, has been excellent, both by watching the game with my own two eyes and by looking at the numbers here. And I mean, it's just nothing happens when he's out there, and it's beautiful. There was that a 10-7 game against the Detroit Red Wings where him and Sandin were paired next to each other, and they were out there for 1 goal for and 0 goals against in over 15 minutes of ice time. It's magic. It's magic, and it's beautiful. The boards at Scotiabank Arena have life, and I mean, if we can get him to stop pinching so much in the offensive zone and actually be a stay-at-home defender, I'm really excited for this player who's just 27 years old. He is going to be a UFA at the end of the season, but the Maple Leafs should definitely keep him around. You want to see a stat that'll blow your mind? I show a lot of stats in these videos. This one is going to absolutely blow your mind. Okay, I promise you. Since the Maple Leafs acquired Ilya Lyubushkin February the 19th, the night of February the 20th, the next day, there is a defenseman here that has an on-ice save percentage. So the goalie for the Leafs has a .925 save percentage with this player at 5-on-5, and that player is Ilya Lyubushkin. And the rest of the Maple Leafs defensemen can only aspire to do the things that Lyubushkin does for his goalie when he's out there. There was that shift from the game the other night where he was on the left side of the crease and he cleared one guy out of the way, and then he ran to the other side of the crease and cleared the other guy out of the way. Whatever the hell he's doing out there, the Maple Leafs goaltending is absolutely shocking, but somehow they got a friggin' .925 save percentage at 5-on-5 when he's out there. Pull up the game tape or something. Sit them all down in a room and take notes. And you can't even make it about quality of competition, because when he's on the ice against the league competition in that same sample, the on-ice save percentage is even higher. Obviously, I'm frustrated. I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. Like I said, I understand it's a nuanced conversation. The goaltending, the defenders need to be better. Like I said earlier, there's no amount of defensive help that Peter Mrazek could have gotten in that game the other night that would have changed the outcome. But I also don't think it's a coincidence that the guy who's known for being good in his own zone and in front of his net has the highest on-ice save percentage. To give credit to guys like TJ Brody and Justin Hall and Morgan Riley and Timothy Liljegren, the Maple Leafs have been better over the last little while defensively off the rush. And that's not a guy like Lyubushkin who's cleaning that up. And these numbers are encouraging, but at the same time, those 4 players, Brody, Hall, Riley, Liljegren, not necessarily known for being very tough in front of the net. And obviously the goalies need to be better, but they can be helping them out a little bit more in that regard as well. I don't know if that's just instinct or if that's just effort. Whatever it is, we need more of it. Like I talked about Hall cross-checking Christian Fischer's shoulder right out of its socket. Like, yeah, Give me more. Give me more. We can work with this, but give me more. What would you guys do in this scenario if you were the GM and there's not really a goalie available that makes sense and your hands are kind of tied with the salary cap because Muzzin comes back before the end of the regular season? What do you guys do? I don't know whether to be angry or optimistic or sad because I don't know what the plan is, and we won't find out until March the 21st, which is the deadline. And I mean, until then, we can only talk about what we have to work with. And that's a whole lot of I don't know. So, what would you guys do? I'm genuinely curious because the team is fifth in the NHL right now and has a lot of things that are really good about it, but it has some obvious flaws. And because they're obvious, they should be fixable. And that's what I've been saying for months now. But what would you guys do? Make sure to like the video if you did like it and subscribe for more because more is always on the way. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.